She was quiet, intelligent, and just a child. But one day, her friends stopped responding. When the teacher saw what she had done, the whole world froze in horror. This is a story that's hard to understand, but impossible to forget. Imagine an ordinary schoolgirl with a kind smile. Now imagine that it is this girl who commits a terrible crime that shakes the whole country. Some high-profile crimes cause mixed reactions on the internet if they are committed by a girl with the appearance of an anime character, even spreading images of criminals. All this leads to strange and disturbing consequences. This is the story of Natsumi Tsuji, better known under the pseudonym Nevada Tan. In this video, we will look at her story and try to understand how an ordinary schoolgirl could do such a thing. To understand the whole context, it is worth remembering the tragic events that shook Japan earlier. In 1997, the country was shocked by a brutal crime when 14-year-old Sakakibara Sato took the life of an 11-year-old boy right in the school walls, committing it in an unusually brutal manner. This event caused serious concern in society, and the authorities took measures by lowering the age of criminal responsibility from 16 to 14 years. In 2001, on June 8th, a new tragic crime occurred in Osaka. Mamoru Takoma, a janitor armed with a knife, broke into an elementary school and caused the death of 8 people and the injury of 15 others. It all happened because of his hatred of children from wealthy families. In 2004, by a court decision, he died. This case has also led to increased security measures in Japanese schools. But despite the efforts of the authorities, the events in question could not be prevented. Natsumi Tsuji, or Nevada-tan, is a person who remains somewhat mysterious. Little is known about her life, as she did not share personal details. She wasn't very sociable and even talked to her parents with a certain reserve. Natsumi's interests revolved around anime, manga, and especially dark stories. One of her favorite movies was Battle Royale, in which school children were forced to fight to the death. She was fascinated by this idea, and she often watched the film. Her world was limited to computers, music, and virtual communication. According to her mother, the internet had a negative impact on her. Natsumi actively used the internet and communicated in online communities, where she met her classmate Satomi. Satomi Mitarai was 12 years old, Natsumi was 11, and they went to a basketball club together. However, Natsumi later left the club, and this was the beginning of a change in her behavior. Classmates recall that she became more withdrawn every day. At the beginning of 5th grade, Natsumi began to show irritability, avoided eye contact, and often broke down on trifles, and once even physically harmed a classmate. Sometimes she threatened her classmates with a stationary knife. She dreamed of becoming a mangaka and wrote her own stories. One of her works resembled the plot of the royal battle, but in her version, the characters clearly looked like her real classmates. At some point, her relationship with Satomi began to deteriorate. One day at school, Natsumi jumped on Satomi's back, and she jokingly said that she was heavy. Natsumi was hurt by this, even though she was a skinny girl. After that, Satomi left a comment on the cafe in which she again called Natsumi heavy. In response, a new post followed with a similar insult. Natsumi demanded that the comments be deleted, but Satomi refused, which only made the situation worse. Then Natsumi made a decision. She considered different ways of violence on the internet. June 1st, 2004. The school day was going on when Natsumi invited Satomi to walk with her to an empty classroom. Inside the auditorium, she closed the curtains and sat her friend down. "You'll be gone today." Natsumi had a stationary knife. She suggested that Satomi close her eyes before that, but Satomi refused. Then Natsumi covered her eyes with one hand and attacked her with a stationary knife. The attack proved fatal. The wounded Satomi jumped up, trying to defend herself, but Natsumi continued to attack. Having lost a lot of blood, Satomi soon weakened and fell. Natsumi had been watching the whole time. After the attack, Natsumi returned to the classroom, where she was noticed by the teachers. The teacher ran up to her, thinking that Natsumi had been hurt herself, but she had no wounds. Nevada walked towards the classroom. When the teacher saw her, she thought that something had happened to her, but Natsumi replied that she had done something bad. Natsumi led the teacher to the crime scene, crying the whole way. When the teacher saw this, she immediately called for help. At that time, Satomi was still alive. An ambulance team was called, but it did not make it. The students and teachers who saw the scene experienced a strong emotional shock. Natsumi was arrested. The girl confessed to the police that she had attacked her friend. Her mother hurried to the station. She was trying to get out of Nevada, had at least some information, and found out what had happened, but she was mostly crying and silent. Natsumi was detained and did not reveal her motives for a long time. At first, she just said that she had no motive. It is quite possible that she began to realize how much it looked ridiculous, and I felt awkward or ashamed. We will never know for sure, but soon after, she confessed to the police that an argument on the internet led to the crime. She told the police that Satomi was once her close friend, but she started writing comments about her on the internet, which she didn't like. She said, "I asked her to stop, but she wouldn't stop. We had a fight, and I'm tired of it all." Naturally, the public was shocked when the crime became known, mainly because of the age of the two children and the brutality of the attack. Satomi's father spoke at a press conference, saying, "He doesn't know how it happened." And I remind you that shortly before that, the age at which a teenager can be sent to prison was lowered to 14 years, and Nevada was only 11 at that time, so it didn't help in this case. As a result, she was placed in a correctional facility for 2 years, but her sentence was extended for another 2 years due to her inability to communicate with other people. Later, experts noted that she had difficulties with social interaction. Further, in 2008, when her term of imprisonment expired, the authorities did not insist on an extension, but nevertheless, Nevada could decide for itself whether to stay or not. As a result, Natsumi Tsuji was born only in 2013, when she was 20 years old, and now she is doing everything possible to be a social unit again. After the incident, there was great public interest in her. Images and discussions of the story began to spread, which caused a mixed reaction from people. After the incident, some symbols related to this incident suddenly became popular on the internet, which caused a wave of discussions. After the incident, Natsumi Tsuji's image began to spread on the internet, which caused heated discussions and criticism. And in conclusion, I must say that this story reminds us of the importance of the mental health of adolescents, the need to monitor their emotional state and prevent conflicts before they escalate into tragedy. This story highlights the importance of teenagers' mental health, the need for conflict prevention online, and timely support for children who may find themselves in difficult situations. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Good luck.